What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Pretty Girl Progression Podcast. I am your girl, Sherelle. If you are new here, welcome. I hope you stay. If you've been here before, girl, welcome back. And as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you're listening on any of the streaming platforms, I appreciate you so much. But make sure you're hitting the download button and write us a review. As well as if you're on YouTube watching virtually, don't forget to hit the bell notification. And if you're not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Make the commitment now. Hit the subscribe button. Y'all, so I'm really excited about this episode because this is my first solo episode of season 3. And it was really important for me to do solo episodes as well because, number one, I've noticed for season 1, you guys really enjoyed it. And number 2, I don't really get enough time to share my experiences when I have guests. So I figure what better way than to just have, my solo episodes. And, man, the state of the world right now, let's just jump straight into it. We have a new president. It is Donald Trump, and he has hit the ground running. And because we are in Black History Month, I felt like it was very fitting to talk about all the things Black history. First and foremost, my views on Black History Month is, it's actually really funny. We are Black 365, 7 days a week, and there's no denying that we have contributed a lot to the culture and to the world. So Donald Trump rolling out the removal of the DEI initiative, which if you're not familiar about what that is, I'm just going to break it down to you. So it's called the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. And it allows brands to help fund and help pour into Black-owned businesses and brands. So for Trump rolling it back and removing it, it's ultimately saying like, hey, we don't have to, give money to a Black-owned business or a program, and we can just move however we want. So let's break it down, right? Diversity, which is ensuring representation of people from different backgrounds, race, gender, age, or disability. The equity part, providing fair opportunities and resources based on individuals' needs to ensure equal outcome. Inclusion, creating an environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to contribute. This is really important because, we want to be able to go into these different establishments or just go to work and not be harassed or not feel like we're not protected, almost like as if like HR doesn't exist. We put these different laws in place and these programs in place so people of color or melanated people can be able to feel included, right? So when I first heard about this, I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to boycott Target. I'm going to boycott Walmart. And then I had to really sit back and think, well, there are Black businesses within these different franchises. And it would do us a disservice if we decide to completely not support them. One person that we're really familiar with is Tabitha Brown. She has everything from cookbooks to air fryers to cutting boards, school tools. What would it look like if we decided not to go to Target and then not support Tabitha Brown? I think we just need to be more intentional with going into these different establishments and saying, hey, well, is there a Black-owned brand that sells soap or hair care products or kitchen supply equipment and appliances? I think we just have to be more intentional. So instead of completely 86ing all of the Black-owned brands that are in these different establishments, we just need to be more intentional, ultimately. And, it also makes me think, like, where would we be without Black culture? Like, so many people have contributed, like, from making the pacemaker to telephones to hair care products. And we are the culture. Like, we add so much value. And at the same time, I feel like God is allowing this to happen because we need to continue to just pivot as we've always done. And it's just really important to highlight that the DEI being removed does not stop our show, and it does not allow us to just fall and just feel like we're a victim to whatever this machine, this system has put in place. You know, we can do so much if we just come together. Another thing is Amazon. I say Amazon because somebody recently sent me a black version of Amazon, which is called the Nile. So I went to go do some digging and look it up, and it's actually legit. Now, the Nile has so many different brands, black-owned brands, from high-end to low-end, luxury, and all the things in between. And it just goes back to what I said before. Instead of circulating our money and giving our money somewhere else, we can find different programs and different avenues to be able to support our own people. You know, there's a saying that, like one monkey doesn't stop your show. Like, nothing is going to stop because we're not necessarily included, right? So may we always pay attention to that and figure out ways that we can just continue to set the bar higher for ourselves. And I want to say for anyone who's in media, because I'm in media, right? I think that we have obligation and we should have a commitment to controlling our own narrative and standing up for what's right within the Black community, and not just allowing other people to tell our story and allowing us to tell our story. You know, that's my goal for Pretty Girl Progression, to not just create a space for me to talk, but create a space for other women to share their story as well. So may we take Black History Month and this time around see that we have a responsibility, we have an obligation to be a better version of ourselves, continue to set the bar high, and continue to be great, okay? Because we are a chosen people. So I hope y'all receive that because it's been on my heart heavy, and yeah. So now let's go into this next conversation, which I'm trying something new for my solo episodes, right? And I felt very led to share my daily devotional. And if you're not familiar, I'll grab it right here. My daily devotional is a 30-day affirmation devotional with a message from me to you and biblical verses. And considering that everything that's happening in the world, I just wanted to, for my solo episodes, when I'm feeling led, to share a different day and what it means, and just kind of give you guys a little bit more hope, and I just hope it feeds your spirit. So I pulled out day 10 of the daily devotional, which the affirmation of the day is, I take accountability for my actions. The verse of the day, and I tell you this, you must give an account on Judgment Day for every idle word you speak. The words you say will either acquit you or will condemn you. That's Matthew 12:36-37. Now the message of the day. Girl, you know who you are. You know that what you believe in. You know how to take accountability for your actions. You don't have to worry about Judgment Day because you should hold yourself accountable. And by doing that, you develop trust with others and, most importantly, trust within yourself. I'm in a space right now where I have to take accountability for every little thing that I do. I mean, down from who I surround myself with. Am I reading my word daily? Am I showing up being the best version of myself? Am I moving in integrity? Am I forgiving those who've done me wrong and forgiving myself for breaking promises, to myself? I'm in a season of full accountability. Now, although it's hard, but it's necessary. And I just, not only for myself, but I really hope for other people that you look at accountability as just a way to continue to grow and be a better version of yourself, instead of, hey, I want to prove this person wrong. I want my ego to speak for me. Because there's been a lot of times I've allowed my ego to speak for me, and then it's just pushed me back even further. And I would rather just rip the Band-Aid off and just allow my wounds to heal openly versus covering them up and then allowing the scab to just continue to form uglier and darker. You know what I'm saying? So if you are not familiar with my daily devotional, you can pick this up at www.prettygirlprogression.com today and let me know what you think about it, okay? Now, y'all, for the final thing that I wanted to get into for this episode, I wanted to share this video that I saw on YouTube. The content creator, YouTuber was Nick Jones, and he has a Christian-based YouTube channel where he basically shares all the different testimonies from non-believers to believers to everything in between. Now, this one particular clip was called 15 Minutes in Hell Leads to a Divine Encounter in God's Throne Room. Woo! I'm never going to be the same after watching that because it starts off with this young man who's probably in his 20s, and he came down with some flu-like symptoms, and his dad felt the need to take him to the hospital. Now, the reason dad felt the need to take him to the hospital because the Holy Spirit was talking to dad like, hey, I think you need to stay home today and take your son to the hospital. Specifically, like the east wing of the hospital. And, God is very detailed. So the east wing mattered on this journey to the hospital. So the dad doesn't go to work. He puts his son in the car, takes him to the hospital. And at this point, his dad describes him as burning up even more. And to the point where his body starts to distort and at this moment he collapses. He passes out. Now the dad is told through the Holy Spirit, speak life over your son, prophesy over him, because now he realizes this is spiritual warfare. The son describes while he's passed out that it was an out-of-body experience, and he could see his dad in the driver's seat, swerving and going to these different lanes and trying to get to the hospital. Again, the son is passed out. While the son is passed out, he describes going to hell, dropping down to hell in an instant. And the way he describes it is nothing like they describe in the movies, where hell is pure agony. All it is constant repeating of the shame, the guilt, the worry, the doubt, the fear, everything that we typically feel, as humans or, gone through, you're replaying it while you're in hell. And it's super hot, you can't breathe, and everybody seems like they're in human form, but they're not even focusing on each other. They are just focusing on the excruciating pain of hell and the agony of just repeating the shame, the guilt, the doubt, the fear, and all these things. Now, the interview asks him, well, how did you get out of hell? He points to his dad and says, my dad, I could hear my dad praying for me. And the dad says, his son basically described the route that he was taking while he was driving. And all he kept doing was just, prophesying over his son, all the things that, he is speaking life into him while he's in this, a coma. Now he describes shooting up to heaven, which he describes going to heaven took a lot longer than it was shooting down to hell. And in heaven, he sees this huge light. And he knows that it's God, and he feels happy and warm, and he just feels like he is at attention and so fixated on this light, on God, that he's not thinking or worried about anyone else. He also described his body being a very mature version, like him being in his 20s or 30s, fully developed. He probably was 325 pounds as a man, solid, he just described it, everything feeling super peaceful, right? But everyone was in human form. He also described that there were animals there, and these animals were just larger than life. They were beautiful. They also had 8 eyes, and they were all fixated on Christ. Now imagine you dropping into heaven and people kind of glance and look at you, but they go right back to God and they're so focused on God, ready for God to say, hey, this is what it is. Or just being in the presence, he just felt so overwhelmingly happy. Now, he describes him coming back into his body, right? They finally get to the hospital. The dad finally gets him to the hospital, and he describes coming back into his body. And he says on his way down to earth, he noticed that it smelled really bad. He noticed that the light was extremely dim on earth. And, you know, he ended up surviving that, but he came back to tell the world, like, hell is real and heaven is real, and that we need to fixate our eyes on God. That should be the only thing that we are focused on forever while we're here in this body, in this form, focusing on God. It brings me to a conversation I was having with my cousin where, you know, she mentioned about having church hurt, and when having church hurt, like, it kind of shifted the way that she saw being in the house of God. She said that her friend one day said, hey, I could see that the light is dim in you. And it instantly made me think of this testimony from the young man saying how he described earth being very dim. And I couldn't help but to think that we all have dealt with something chipping at us little by little when it comes to our light, whether it be betrayal, hurt, lies, expectations, and things of that sort. I know I have. And the fact that this guy described earth being so dim and dark, I thought to myself, wow, how incredible would it be if we all really did our personal work, focused on God, stood firm in our relationship with God? How much brighter would this world be? And I knew after that testimony that I wanted to do my part and stay fixated on God. No, I'm not perfect. Yes, you know, I ask for forgiveness all the time and forgive myself. But I said, God, like, you know my heart. I want to, like, really embody you and stay fixated on you. I don't want to miss my chance to have that relationship with you. And as quick as it is to go to hell, it takes longer to go to heaven. And I'm thankful that I had that conversation with my cousin, because it just showed me, like, we all are chipped at just a little bit and our light is a little bit more dim. But through God, through Christ, we can have a brighter experience. And I really hope that for all of us, that we stay focused on God, that we stay fixated on him. Because I know I am. I know that testimony scared me straight. And I definitely wish the best for us all, and not allowing our circumstances or our finances and things to get in the way of who God called us to be and what we're supposed to do and our purpose here while we're here, you know. I always say, as long as you got breath, you got options. And as long as you got God, no one could be, you know, against you. And even if they do, they got to take that up with the Lord, okay? So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode and all the things that were talked about here. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this episode. And as always, you can pick up the daily devotional at prettygirlprogression.com. We have different t-shirts, different merch, different journals on there as well that you can be able to pick up. And as always, Queen, love yourself.